Good morning, and apologies, my clock on my wall seems to be running a little bit behind the clock on my phone. I'm assuming it's the clock on my phone that's correct, so it was suddenly, oh goodness me, I should be coming on live and my microphone wire is complete spaghetti, so I will plug that in when I've finished unwinding it. But good morning, welcome in. Lovely to have you with us. My name is Helen Jennings. I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK. We've got a bit of an overcast morning this morning, but not raining at the moment. So morning Emma, morning Beryl, morning Valerie. Lovely to see you all. I think perhaps my spaghetti wire has now been untangled. So let's plug you in, so you'll perhaps notice a bit of difference in sound. Morning, Lisa. Still this silly tickly cough, but it's not a dry cough with temperature. It's just a silly tickle. Probably far more to do with the pollen than it is to do with anything else. But good morning. Lovely to have you join me this morning when we're going to continue to play with some of the things that are retiring. Now, as you can see, I have a mad collection of things in front of me. And I have other collections of things to either side and some vague thoughts about where we might go with it all. But they are pretty vague. It is, after all, Friday morning. We're getting towards the end of the week now. Another busy week has passed. And I think it's time to sit and do some crafting. So what I thought we would have a play with today... hi, Sarah. Yesterday evening, I was flicking through the retiring on the website as to what is still available and what was retiring. And one of the things that popped up that I thought would be quite interesting to play with tomorrow was the cake punch, the cake builder punch, and the piece of cake stamp set that goes with it. Now, this is one of those stamp sets that's really useful because you can use it for so many occasions. So you've got wedding cakes, birthday cakes, just because cakes, whatever the question is, cake is the answer, is one of the sentiments on there. So, and you know, and that's very much the question. You could send somebody a rainbow cake for currently, you know, thank you cake. Let's have cake, whatever. Let them eat cake. Whatever the occasion, let them eat cake. So it seemed like a really nice general stamp set. One of those things that if you haven't got, you might find really useful. And so I was then gathering some bits. So I've got a few sort of pastel-y colours, some petal pink and so saffron and pear pizzazz, but I've also got out the retiring in colours because it looks like most of those things were still available. And I've got the iridescent sequins are retiring. I've picked out some ribbon that I know is going, the doilies, a couple of other punches. So I've gathered a whole little eclectic bundle of things. We might not use them all, but let's see. And I've got my Stamparatus out. So let me put some of these things to one side. I'm going to swing my big shot round for a minute and stand these things next to it. I hope everybody is doing well on this fine morning. Am I the only one that is finding that I'm not sleeping properly? I think this is the third night in a row I've woken up in the middle of the night and then couldn't get back to sleep. So feeling a little bit jaded this morning. But never mind. Let's do some crafting. That always makes us feel better. So I thought the first thing we'd go down the sort of pretty pastel-y, sort of different layers, layering things up, wedding cake type of theme. So there's some really nice cake. You've got a variety of cakes in here. You've got this one with the flowers going down the side. You've got a spotty one. You've got this one here with the flowers on. You've got this one that's more of a sort of plain sponge layered. You've got one with dripping icing. You've got a happy birthday cake. And these all fit in that coordinating punch. And then you've got some candles and some lollipops and a heart. Some flowers that you can sit on the top. And, you know, obviously, as we said, some nice greetings. You've got a Mr. and Mrs. May your love grow sweeter with every passing year. So I thought we'd go down the wedding cake avenue first. So what I've got here is my Stamparatus, and I'm actually going to put my foam grid in. So you can get this really nice foam grid that you can pop into your Stamparatus. So that's what I'm going to pop in there for now. Let me pop those down there. I might still leave my grid paper in there just to keep it clean, but that gives me that nice sponge, and I've got that that grid on there if I want it. Let me just see. Now I have, yes, that way. I have already got a template here that I have punched that cake out of. So I am going to take my magnet and anchor that down there, and then we're going to create a cake. Now I'm thinking that for this wedding cake I'm going to go very vanilla, so I'm going to have a very vanilla card base. I don't do that very often, so I think if we're having a very vanilla card base, we'll have a very vanilla cake as well. So this is my oddment bag of very vanilla. And let's find our cake punch, and let's punch the cake and a stand. We might change our mind on the stand, but for now we'll have a cake and a stand. And we're just going to place our pieces into our template. Well, we will in a minute. We're going to place our stamps into our template first, pick them up, and then we'll place our pieces into our template. So we've got our cake stand just here. That's the wrong way up, Helen. That's the right way up. And which cake shall we go with? I think we'll have the one that has the flowers going all up the side, so we'll have that one just there. Colouring in, I want to colour in these flowers. I think I'm going to do that in watercolour pencil, so I will therefore stamp it in Stays on, she says bravely. Where's my Stays on gone? That's not something that normally goes missing. Just looking round to see if it's been piled up on the side. How very peculiar. I'm going to raid one of my class boxes and fetch another one. It won't be far away. It's staring at me somewhere. But luckily, I have more. Just over there. Okay. So I've laid my stamps into my template. I'm going to pick them up. On my Stamparatus. And put my pieces back in place. Ink up those stamps. well and truly stuck. Oh, that hasn't stamped very well. I was thinking to myself, the thing is about grabbing it out of the box that hasn't been used for a little while, is that those StazOns might want re-inking, and indeed they do. So let us put that right. I'm going to pop a bit of ink, because they've been sitting for a few weeks now, haven't they, without being used. And of course it's solvent based ink, so they will I'm going to turn those round. I think I may have moved that template slightly. I think it's going to be one of those mornings. There we go. It's a good job. Our piece of card has two sides. Let's try inking that up again. And of course now the ink's probably going to be sitting quite on the surface, so still a bit patchy in the middle there, but we're going to colour it in, so that won't be fine. That one's much better. Okay, let's pop that to one side for a minute. We may well come back to that, and let us put our lid on our black StazOn to make sure that that doesn't dry out. And then I will grab my watercolour pencils. And actually the other thing I will do is I'm going to take this little, oh, just dropped a stamp on the floor. I'm going to take this little flower stamp and an ickle block. And let's stamp that onto some card while we're at it, because I think we'll have a little arrangement of flowers on the top as well. So let me think, what colours shall we go with? I'm going to pick out the yellow and the Calypso Coral and the Old Olive. Now the colours that I've got are actually Pear Pizzazz, So Saffron and Petal Pink, but I think by colouring in with these colours fairly lightly, not going too mad, we should achieve that same sort of soft pastel-y look as opposed to a bright look. So these daisy type flowers I'm going to colour in so that they're yellow. The one down here. It's not ever such a big piece of card to get hold of. And then I think we'll give those some Calypso Coral centres. That's right, I'm looking in its usual place for my pencil sharpener and it's not there because I've moved it. I think this could do with a bit of a sharpen. That's a bit better. We'll just Colour in those little roses. Cue for a song. We're painting the roses. We're not painting them red. We're painting them Calypso coral. Not quite sure there were Calypso coral roses in Alice in Wonderland, but one there I've missed. And some leaves. Ah, this is what the doctor ordered. A bit of colouring in. That's what I should have done at 3 o'clock this morning. Got up and done some colouring in. It was tempting. There we go. We've got a little bit around the top and bottom of that cake as well. I might come back in and do something with that as well. But let's paint our flowers on the top. Obviously they're going to be similar colours because, you know, our bride is very colour coordinated, as all brides are. She's got some yellow daisies. I had pink and lilac roses in my wedding bouquet. It was a long time ago. Nearly 34 years to be exact. The wedding anniversary is creeping up. Morning, Jeanette. Morning, Charlotte. So I think I'll perhaps use the Calypso coral to do this piping round the cake. Just add some colour to those little blobs of, well, I'm assuming they're going to be icing. I'm sure that's not a technical term. So there we've got our little cake. Now obviously this little one here we're going to have to chop out ourselves, but that's relatively easily done. And we'll have our stand to think about. What I might do with the stand, actually. Oh, there's a little leaf I've missed there. So that's our cake, that's our flower arrangement to go on the top of our cake, like that. Now then, let's dig, dig, dig. Let's add embellishmenty things, and I have got some shimmery crystal effects. Now what I might do is where these stripes are just here, I might do those in green. I might do top and bottom in green as well. that just then gives it a little bit of definition to stand it apart from the cake. Then give these a bit of a squeeze. I think we're going to go on. This is very tiny to look at, isn't it? I almost need to raise it up. In fact, I've got my little pile here of empty ribbon reels. Let's that one's not quite empty. Let's see if we can find raise it up a little bit. There we go. So it's slightly nearer the camera now. So what I've got here is this shimmery crystal effects, and I wasn't going to put it on the cake at all. I was going to put it on the stand, but never mind. Let's carry on and put some on our cake. Let's make our cake shimmery and crystally as well. That will be glittery and when that dries. So it is crystal effects, so it's the same sort of stuff that well, very similar to our fine tip glue that you would use for things like making eyes shiny on one of the animals or something. But it does also have a touch of glitz in this one, a touch of glitter. So when that dries, it will be glittery. What I meant to do is to do the stand, so we'll do the stand as well. And then we'll leave that to one side to dry. We might need to leave it a bit longer to dry and come back and put the finishing touches to the card right at the end, but we'll see how it goes. So just to give that stand, the plan was a sort of look of a almost glassy look. So obviously that's still quite wet at the moment, and the important thing is not to drop it so that it falls face down on the floor. So you've got your, I don't know that it will pick up any of the shimmer. Oh, there might be a little bit of a hint of shiny stuff just there. So I'm going to pop that to one side just for a minute while we think about what we're going to put it on. Let me put my pencils back in there for now. Put them on the floor. So I've got out some very vanilla thick cardstock, as well as our very vanilla card for our cake, so that we can do a background. So let's cut this in half at 14.9. Let's swing it round and score it at 10.5, like that. Now, some of the other bits I've got out one of the pearlised doilies here. Now the pearlised doilies are actually pearly on one side and plain on the other. So I might have a think about that. The plain side you can colour and do all sorts of things with. So we'll have a bit of a doily going on underneath our cake. I've also got some of the retiring coloured vellum here. So we've got both some of the yellow and some of the pepper pink. And have a little think about what we could do with that, with the background. I've picked out a couple of different sorts of ribbons. So I've got this lovely spotted tulle ribbon. Now that's not retiring, that's staying. I've also got the white flax ribbon, that is retiring, but we can colour that if we want to. And I've got, I probably won't use this, but I've got out the burlap ribbon. This is retiring as well. Really sad about that. I use that a lot. But we might use some of those. And in fact, what I might do is let's have a look. Let's find the rustle in my box of pens. I found light So Saffron. What I actually want is dark So Saffron. Excellent. Let's take a little bit of this. And let's colour it. Let's make it So Saffron. Turn it over and do the other side. So then we've got some So Saffron flax ribbon. That's a nice texture on there. So we've got some nice flax ribbon, we've got some nice spotty ribbon, and actually the spotty ribbon, as well as the can also be coloured. So as we're using very vanilla background, we don't necessarily want this to be so starkly white. So let's make it petal pink. Now, apologies if the front door does go at some point. I am expecting a delivery of a sack of potatoes, like you do. I'm not quite sure at what point they're going to arrive today. You can possibly bet your bottom dollar it'll be while we're doing this. So we have So Saffron ribbon. We have petal pink ribbon, and those are very different textures. We have our pearlized doily. I'm wondering whether that would be better softened a little. Let me find my sponges, I think, and we could perhaps even go a little mad and add a couple of colours to that. So I've got petal pink, so I've turned so it's not the shiny side, it's the other side that you can colour. We'll add a little bit of petal pink in there, and again it's just taking off that stark whiteness really. And then we'll come in with our So Saffron sponge. And add in some So Saffron. So you could be spritzing these or So that's sort of slightly multi-tonal now, doily. I think I'm going to take a piece of very vanilla card, and that one's a bit grubby. Just trim that down a little bit. I'm going to make it a 13.9 by 9.5 matte. Not necessarily going to add any more colour to it. Just wondering, have I picked up a very vanilla piece of card there? It's a very different colour from that other very vanilla, isn't it? Let me just... That looks better. I think I've picked up a piece of shimmery white by mistake there, haven't I? Let's score that piece. That's much better. That's much more very vanilla. So yep, let's just score that and make that into a card base. And then we're just going to have this that's going to sit on the top. So it's not going to be a different colour. It's just going to give it a different, slightly different dimension. We could actually give it a little bit more dimension around the edge rather than putting a colour underneath. Let's take that So Saffron sponge again and just sponge around the edge of here. Just so that will pop slightly from the background. Apologies if I'm wobbling you as I do this. It's sort of like the 3D cinema effect, isn't it? That's quite nice. So really soft. I think very major. We've got our doily there. We've got our ribbons going on. Got our cake obviously to come in. We're going to want to take this Mr. and Mrs. stamp. And thinking about where these are going to be. So I'm going to be building these layers up down in this corner here somewhere, I think. I'm going to take my Pear Pizzazz ink and the Mr. and Mrs. stamp. And I'm just going to stamp Mr. and Mrs. few times round there. Let's have, and obviously we've got to keep it so that it's odd numbers. So something like that. So we've got some random Mr. and Mrs. Oh, I've just taken my and done the ink pad. This is probably still going to be quite wet, but we'll carry on working for a minute. We've got our vellum. Now we've got here some heart punches. So let's have I might even go for two. Two vellum hearts. The yellow vellum. Ooh. I must just take the yellow vellum and tear it along both sides, so it's just a random piece of vellum will come down there along with our ribbon pieces. Where are our ribbon pieces? There they are. Okay, and then our cake will come on the top of here. So we've got our spotty ribbon, got our flax that we've made yellow, and we've got our yellow vellum in there. So I'm thinking I want those to be, don't want them to be quite straight. I want them to come so that they're sort of slightly wonky as we're building up these layers. Let's have that one coming down that way, and that one coming up that way. What I am going to do to secure those in the middle, knowing that we're going to have our doily on the top, bring them down slightly, stay, that's brilliant, just there, like that, stay, don't move. To take a piece of tear and tape and just stick those down like that, because our doily is going to come in on the top like that. And I think we'll use some glue dots for our doily. Ooh, got a pretty sequin on there. So let's put a couple of glue dots in some of these. Stay. Supposed to be sticking to the doily, not to me. This one here. Let's then attach that doily. Over those glue dots. There they are. Now our vellum, again, I'm just going to put some glue dots in because we don't want them at the end of the day want the glue to be visible, and they're not heavy, so they don't need really anchoring down very heavily. So we've got a couple of hearts. And stick this to my card front like this. Some glue on the back. So I'm sticking this flat to the card because I think I will put some dimensionals on the back of the cake. Am I able? It's not bad. So let's just get some little glue dots. Not glue dots, dimensionals. It's still a little bit sticky, so I'm trying to be very careful not to touch the stickiness on the other side. And then we've got our cake. Oh, something's just gone crash. And again, trying to avoid touching the shiny on the other side. Obviously, normally you would just walk away and leave that and come back and do it much later. We'll pop our cake up on the top of there. And then we've got our little arrangement of flowers to go on the top. Like that. And then we've still got some of our petal pink. They're not petal pink, they're champagne. Sparklies, but they are quite petal pinky in colour. Hi Glenda. So there we go. So very vanilla card base. Very vanilla matte on the top, sponged around the edge with So Saffron. And then we've used that mixture of So Saffron, petal pink and Pear Pizzazz. Though we hadn't got those colours in the watercolour pencils, we just coloured quite softly to get that sort of colour effect. We've put some shimmery crystal effects on top of our cake and stand. Didn't mean to do it on the cake, but having started, we finished. We've coloured in our white flax ribbon in So Saffron. We've coloured in our spotted tulle in petal pink. We've sponged on our doily with So Saffron and petal pink, layered it all up with some Mr. and Mrs. and some those champagne dots. Oh no, is everybody else okay? Because I need to check that it's not my internet. I had a really bad connection yesterday for a class, which meant I ended up sounding like a robot, which is not good. So let me know if you're all hearing okay, or if it's problems my end. So there's one card using this really, really versatile piece of cake. So that's a wedding card. And we've used lots of those sort of pretty embellishments that are excellent. We're using lots of those pretty embellishments and things that are retiring. So the those little champagne rhinestones, they're staying. Yay! But we're losing this white flax ribbon. The spotted tulle is staying. We shall obviously be losing the colour vellums. Those little doilies are going. The stamp set is going. The punch is going. So if you want any of those things, get them when you can. Hear me but not see me. Doreen, there may be some benefits in that. Don't knock it. There are lots of people, I'm sure my husband would say sometimes, gosh, I wish I could just, I don't know, perhaps he'd rather see me and not hear me. Who knows? You pays your money, you takes your choice. Right, so there's a little wedding card. So that was quite pastel-y, layers, sort of a little bit sort of vintagey and tearing things and adding in different textures and really quite pretty. But then I thought we'd have a go at a birthday card and we'd go back and play with, because we're not going to have much longer to play with these. Let's go with the bold colours of the outgoing in colours that are retiring. And as I say, when I looked yesterday on the UK website, there was still seemed to be colours and re-inkers and things available. How much longer that will be for, I don't know. So it may well be a case of get them while you can. So let me just tuck these sponges back away in this box. And let's move the vellum, because we're not going soft, pretty coloured vellum. We're going bold and bright. Might still need our Stamparatus. This time I have got a piece of Whisper White card. I've also picked out the Noble Peacock foil, because this foil just here is Blueberry Bushel, so that might be quite fun to add in somewhere along the line to our card. I've got all my oddments, all my little pockets of oddments of those in coloured colours that we no doubt going to draw on in a minute. We shall see how we go. Let's think, what way shall we have our card? Let's cut it in half, 14.9. Let's swing it round and score it at 10.5. So there's our basic card base, and this time we're going to go sort of happy birthdays. Which cake shall we have? I'm quite liking the stripy spotty, but I'm wondering whether we want more than one cake. I might do 3 cakes. I might do this one, and this one. So the spotty one, the drippy icy one, and the happy birthday one. Now I think we're going to use our Stamparatus, but we're going to use it in a different way this time. So let us find a piece of Whisper White card. Have I got a big enough piece in there? Oh, you might do. Let's trim you down. Trying to be much better at using up my oddments of things. I'm tending to keep them a bit closer to me. I'm going to come down to 9.5 because I think we may well. Let's try that again with my teeth in. Put a coloured mat behind this one. So I'm going to cut that to 13.9 by 9.5. And then I think I'm going to have it let's anchor down our piece of card. Now I wonder how nicely this will play with doing a hinge technique. Let's see. To sit this here, I can always trim the card down if need be. So I'm sitting my cake stand just there. Slurp my tea. Slurp my tea and then drum roll. I'm going to do it in Memento this time. So let's open that up, ink that up. Let's move some of these ink pads from behind it, and then I can perhaps come back a bit. Then you'll be able to see. You'll be able to see if this works, because as usual, I've not actually tried it. I'm just playing and seeing. Now, let's see if we come along. Oh, are we going to get another one in there? Not quite. So no, I don't think this is one that's going to play nicely with the hinged, because that's going to overlap. Although what I might do is I might ink that up. Let's ink that up and stamp that just there, like that. And then let's take two of our cakes. Let's take the cake that's got drippy icing, and we will remove the dog from it and line that up so it sits nicely on that cake stand. And we'll take the spotty cake and line that up so it sits nicely on that cake stand. Pick both those up. Let's ink both those up. Oh, sorry, I'm wobbling you. It's because I've had my phone plugged in because I was running out of juice. Let's stamp those there. Fabulous. So those are two cakes there. And then we will punch out another one that's going to sort of sit proud, sit forward. I think that will work quite nicely. So we've got those two cakes there. So we need to find again our punch template. And let's take those stamps off, bring the stand back, and bring the happy birthday cake in. Let's pick those ones up. Scrap piece of Whisper White card. That piece isn't quite wide enough. Let's punch out a cake and a stand. Put our stand in place. Put our cake in place. Ink those up. And let's stamp those. Fab. I'm going to give that happy and extra squeeze even more fab. Right, okay. Move those to one side for now. So this cake is then going to be able to come in here on dimensionals and sit forward. Fabulous. Thank you for not working hinge methods, because I think that's even better. Right. Now the other stamp set I thought I might bring in is this one, which was actually a Christmas set, Making Christmas Bright, but I thought we'd have some fairy lights going along the top here. Let's find a nice long block. So again, we could have lined these up on our Stamparatus while we were there building our picture, but that's okay. I'll get my foam mat out because obviously I now haven't got anything spongy underneath. And I think once the foam mat's gone, it is going to be our Stamparatus mats that we're looking to possibly to help us with this job. So let's stamp those lights going across the top there. Great stuff. We didn't really want to stamp that bit on there, but never mind. I think we might also let's take also from that stamp set, we have a little punch, a bulb punch. I might also stamp out, let's have 3 of those. So this is another stamp and punch set that is going. In fact, the punch I think is reduced. So not only is it retiring, but I do believe it is reduced. How exciting is that? I don't think I want a 4th one. I'm just going to pop that there, but what I do need is a little stencil for my Stamparatus, because we're now going to stamp these little bulbs, and we'll do those in nice bright colours. But we've also got this little element piece that we can stamp. So let's put that card in there like that. It doesn't really matter if it's straight. And I think I'm going to have the stamp that's got like a bit of a star on it, like that, sitting in there. And then, as I say, we've got this little element piece that will sit in there. But for this one, I'm going to do it as 2 separate pieces. So let's pick that one up. Let's swing our plate round and fit that in there. And then in place, pick that one up. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's go with bulb number 1. And let's give them all, did you move slightly then? Let's give them all blueberry bushel elements, because we can. And swing them round, and we will do a mixture of bulb colours. So this one I'm going to do as a pineapple punch bulb. And of course the nice thing about this is if you're not happy with the intensity of colour first time, you can, I think I moved that slightly again, didn't I? Go in a second time. Then we have a yellow one. And then we won't turn it round just yet. I moved that bulb slightly when I moved that card. Let's realign it slightly. And don't move the card, Helen. That's it. So let's just give that a little bit of a wipe. And then we'll go in with some Grapefruit Grove. A nice orangey bulb. That one's pretty good. We'll do the 3 elements in a minute. Let's clean that up while we're here. And then we'll have a lovely lipstick bulb. Beautiful. Oh, I've definitely moved that paper now. That definitely wiggled. Let's bring that back. Should have put a second magnet on it really. And then we want our other 2 element pieces. One. And 2. Okay. So we've got our lights. Somewhere we've got our other cake. Let's find our in colour Stampin' Right markers. There's Grapefruit Grove. And there's the other 3. And we'll stick with these 3 colours for the light bulbs, I think. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Fab. Then we'll go Pineapple Punch. Be careful not to colour in the little loops in the wire. And then we'll have a lovely lipstick. We'll have our little extra little bulbs that will come up this corner, I think, somewhere. In a bit, we need to colour in our birthday cakes. So I think we'll go let's have pineapple punch on the top and grapefruit grove on the bottom, and I think a blueberry bushel, although we could have a multi-tonal. Let's see. Let's have some call me clover in the middle. So these, unlike the pastel colours of the last one, they're going to be really bright and zany, like that. What shall we have for our other ones? Let's have some lovely lipstick icing dripping down. A bit like Captain or Colonel Tom yesterday. I think he probably had quite a few cakes, certainly had a lot of cards. Now, what are we thinking about that cake? Do we want to leave it as a white cake, or I think it might need to be coloured. Certainly doesn't want to be green though. I'll come back to that in just a minute. I think we'll have some green stripes on the top here. And perhaps green just here. It's like being a child with a colouring book, isn't it? What colour shall I colour in my cake? It's gone over the line slightly. Because I'm using the brush end. Let's have some yellow spots on here. I think perhaps we'll have a yellow cake this side. There's going to be some E numbers in these cakes, isn't there? Anybody eating these cakes are going to be running around like lunatics afterwards. We'll have a grapefruit grove cake here. And what colour shall we have for our other cake stands? I think this one. Let's have green top and bottom and middle for that one, and red top and bottom and middle for that one. But then I think I'll do both cake stands blue in these central pieces. Right, let's cut a piece of this foil. That is 14.4 by you've done your 14.4 the wrong way there, Helen. You want that to be that way for your pattern. 14.4 by 10, like that. I think actually I'm going to take this card base and I'm going to trim it down a little bit more again. I'm going to make it 13.4 by 9. That can then sit on that funky foil just there. You can add in those on some dimensionals. So let's do that. Let's start with our cake base. It is very bright, isn't it? Hi, Angie. Or you'll have to catch up a bit later. So you've come in for the bright and breezy birthday card. I'll just bring that down slightly so it sits just there. But we've also done a sort of multi-layered, far more pastel wedding card. And used a couple of sets that are retiring, so stamps with punches. So one is this piece of cake one. And one is that lovely Making Christmas Bright that's got those lovely fairy lights in. So let's think about our fairy lights up this corner. We'll stick 2 flat. And then add in our little element pieces on the top. One. 2. And then, where's my other little element piece gone? Oh, where are you? Got my other bulb, but not my other little element. It's obviously going to be staring me in the face somewhere. There's our cakes and our cake stand. I may just have to add that one in a little bit later, but let's put this one in on dimensionals, and obviously then we will have our final element to add in on a dimensional as well when it comes to light. And if it doesn't come to light, is that you just there? Oh no, that's the other spare one. If it doesn't come to light, I will stamp another one. We won't let it be unconnected. Oh dear, there's a dog hair there. Come on off. So that's to go on our bright card. on our bright foil, so we've got some of that foil in there as well. All good fun. So we could add in some little flowers. We could have put some candles on top of the cake. Got a little stamp, in a little star in this set that we could add in a few little stars if we wanted to. I've also got out the these little pieces just here, and the other thing I've got, and I don't know whether there's anywhere really that would fit in properly, is just a little, I've got a little bit left of the green grey ribbon. Need to be a tiny little bow to go on there, but actually this ribbon is quite good for making tiny little bows with. It does sort of hold its own quite nicely. I mean that you can bring it down so that it is quite tiny. Let's just chop some ends off of there and find a glue dot. It almost feels like I'm going, oh, what's retiring? I need to use it one last time. Please let me. And that's indeed what we've done this morning. We've used lots of elements that are retiring. Let's pop that onto some of that blue foil. Now, obviously, I could have gutted that foil rather than waste that bit in the middle. We have another pink one. Okay, so that's a very bright and cheery happy birthday using our retiring ink colours, retiring ribbon, those little enamel dots, this stamp set and punch is going. So that's the really bright loud one, and then we have the wedding card, same stamp set, same punch. It's got some, although the shimmery effects is staying, we've got some shimmery effects on our cake and our stand, but the vellum's all going, the doilies, that white flax ribbon is going. So yeah, lots of things that we get to play with one last time. So two very different cards using those retiring products. So they, as I say, they were still in the UK shop when I looked last night. So do go and check those out. Do get them in your basket if you want them while you still can. Yeah, paper shares and ribbon shares. Yeah, I've looked at that. I've jotted all those down and been looking at that. Yeah, so it's all that maths, Angie. Oh, I know. How much does that all cost dividing it up? Yeah, absolutely. So yes, I was doing that the other day. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed those cards. I hope that's reminded you possibly of something you've already got on your shelf that you perhaps haven't used in a while, or it might be something that you're thinking, oh yes, I meant to get that. I really need to do that now before it's all gone, because it is such a versatile stamp set, because, you know, as we said, whatever the question, cake is the answer. So talking of cake, I am going to go and have some breakfast now, because I haven't done that yet today, and I'm getting rather peckish. So have a lovely day. The sun is coming out here. How long we've got that for, I don't know today, but the sun is coming out. Hopefully it'll be a beautiful day or a nice evening, and I will be back now on Monday. So have a fabulous weekend, and we'll be back again on Monday. So see you then.